So colour noise is no longer a problem thanks to this slider here, but we do have some luminance noise, and we've tweaked that by taking the slider to about 15. Let's just take it down a little bit more because we don't want to lose any of the detail in the trees here. We want to keep these from being blurred, and we can do that by clicking Open Image to edit the shot in the standard Adobe Photoshop Elements 5 editor. And once you get into this editor, you'll notice when you go to filters that a lot of them are grayed out, and that's because this high quality raw file is 12 bits per channel. That basically means you've got lots of color information, and a lot of the filters can't actually deal with all that information, so they're basically unavailable to you. But luckily, noise is editable. You could have dropped it down to 8 bits per channel in the raw editor. At the bottom left you'll find there's a little option to do that, but we'll keep the quality as high as we can because we can still get the tools that we want. So before I use reduced noise, let's have a quick look at median, because that is actually another tool available to you. If you could just select the sky, for example, with median, in some shots that's quite possible, then you can smooth noise quite dramatically by going and having a look at median. If we just have a look at the original and let go, we can see the edited version is much smoother. But the downside, of course, is even on 1 pixel on the radius there, we get this dreadful blurring of detailed areas. So you would need to really use the magic wand to select the sky and then try the radius setting here. But in this situation, this shot isn't really suitable for magic wand selection because of the range in colours and tones there. So we can go to Filter, Noise, and Reduce Noise. And here you've got the very useful Preserve Detail slider, and that is the thing you don't have in the standard raw editor. Let's take that down at the moment to 0, and you can see that we've got a strength of 6 to reduce the noise overall, and we've got a very blurry looking shot. So let's drag that up. If we go to the top here, then we've got a lot of noise. So somewhere between the top and the bottom is a compromise between preserving details and removing noise. And you really need to just experiment with each image to find out its own unique problem. So around about 20 here, we can still see the finer details of the tree. But if I click and hold, you can see the before. There's the before. Okay, it's very grainy. Let go of the mouse now, and it's slightly softer. So the sky certainly is much nicer now. If I click to see the before, you can see a hint of grain. Let go, and it's all but gone. Okay, so that's a nice compromise between preserving the details in the trees and removing the unsightly noise. And of course you can still tackle color noise, but since we already dealt with all of that, we can drag this down to 0 because we don't need this slider. One more useful tool, of course, is Remove JPEG Artifact. It's not applicable in this case because we've not saved this image with heavy JPEG compression, but if you find you've got large blocks of color, especially in gradients in skies and things, then it might be worth clicking that just to smooth these jagged edges of these JPEG artifacts and make them less ugly and unsightly. So once you've compromised between removing noise and preserving detail, you can click OK to apply the changes to the photograph. And then let's just Control- to zoom out and see the shot there in its final version, just about final. We've got more detail now in the foreground here. We've got a much smoother looking sky. And the final thing we need to tackle is these nasty little sensor spots. Okay, so there's a tool there that's going to be perfect for this, which is the Spot Healing Brush tool. So just click and make sure you're on the correct layer, of course, and because it's a 16-bit color depth image that we were talking about earlier, we need to convert it to 8-bit to use this particular tool, but we can do that by clicking Convert Depth. And now we can use the left square bracket to shrink the brush size and just click over any unsightly sensor spots. There's quite a lot of them, so I'm not going to do them all in real time, but we'll just click and cover some of the more noticeable ones. Okay, even in the cloud detail there, it will still find and sample some suitable pixels to cover that. And then zoom out, and there we have our slightly smoother looking and better exposed version of the source image.